Hi, my name is Lauren Rogers, and today I'm going to be talking about threats to marine mammals. But first, what is a marine mammal? A marine mammal can be described as any mammal that lives parts of its life or all of its life in a marine environment. There are 5 categories of marine mammals: cetaceans, pinnipeds, sirenians, marine mustelids, and the polar bear. First, I'm going to start talking about cetaceans. Cetaceans can be described as whales, dolphins, and porpoises. They are the only marine mammal that is completely adapted to the aquatic environment and have been a diverse species for over 53 million years. Whales can be categorized into 2 categories: baleen whales and toothed whales. Baleen whales have baleen plates instead of teeth. These plates are made of keratin, just like our hair and nails. Due to these plates, they must filter feed. A lot of their diet is from the surface, such as krill and smaller fish. The whales come to the surface and take a large gulp. Due to the baleen plate, this allows for the whale to filter out the water and swallow their prey. You can also see in this picture that the whale has hair-like plates in their mouth. This is what classifies them into the baleen category. A lot of the baleen whales are of the larger whale species, such as blue whale, right whale, humpback whale, and many more. Toothed whales have a variety of teeth. Some species have vestigial teeth, which are buried into their jawbones. Other species have teeth that are erupted and can vary from one singular tooth, like the narwhal, or over 240 teeth, like some species of river dolphins. The teeth can also be used for violent behavior. For example, killer whales are known to play with their prey before consuming. In some events, the killer whale simply kills to play, regardless if the prey is consumed or not. Pinnipeds can be classified into walruses, seals, and sea lions. They are marine mammals that have front flippers. They live primarily in the ocean but can come onto land for a long period of time. They eat fish and other smaller animals and are also prey for larger animals such as whales and polar bears. Sirenians have 2 categories, which include manatees and dugongs. Like pinnipeds, they have 2 front flippers and no hind legs. Though they come from the same family, dugongs have incisors and manatees do not. Here is a short video of describing the differences of these animals.
So manatees and dugongs are different species, but closely related. Unlike manatees, dugongs are found in the Indo-Pacific region of the world. Dugongs have smooth skin, a notched tail fluke, and tusks that are usually only visible on males. Like manatees, dugongs also feed on seagrasses. However, dugongs exclusively eat seagrass, and manatees eat a much wider variety of aquatic vegetation because their mouths open outward instead of down.
Now I'm going to be talking about marine mustelids. This includes the sea otter and marine otter. The otters are also a species of the weasel family. You may wonder what's the difference between a sea otter and a marine otter. A sea otter spends all of its life at sea, and the marine otter only spends short periods of time at sea to hunt. When not at sea, marine otters live on rocky shores and can also be seen feeding on shores as well. Polar bears are the only species of bear that are classified as marine mammals. They are very closely related to the brown bear and have been known to hybridize with the brown bear. They live most of their life on sea ice, but go to the ocean to swim from different ice plates and hunt seals and fish. Their white fur is also an adaptation to help them camouflage it with the snow. Now I'm going to be talking about human threats to marine mammals. These threats can include commercial hunting, climate change, and commercial fishing. I'm going to be starting with commercial hunting. Whaling has been a part of history for as early as 1000 BC, and Norwegians have been documenting whale hunts since the 9th century. Whaling was one of the first major human threats to whales and is still a threat to whales today. Indigenous cultures have been and are known for hunting beluga whales for meat. The Faroe Islands have one day a year where they dedicate to hunting hundreds of pilot whales and slaughtering them for the pride of their country. This is called a grind. This hunt is more than 1,200 years old and dates back to the Vikings. Only men are allowed to participate in the hunt, and they trap pods of pilot whales, which are actually classified as dolphins, and then frighten the animals with loud noises, which herd them into smaller bays and inlets. The men slaughter these animals for food and blubber by cutting deep into the animals' necks. The government of the Faroe Islands has called this a more humane way to kill as a response to animal conservationists who call this cruel and unnecessary. The International Whaling Commission, or IWC, was established in the year 1946. Nearly 40 years later, members of the commission passed a temporary ban on whaling. The goal was to allow whale populations to replenish. In 1986, the temporary ban came into effect permanently. In efforts to conserve whale populations, the Commission designated sanctuary areas in the Indian Ocean and Southern Ocean in 1979 and 1994. Recently, in 2019, Japan backed out of the IWC to continue whaling on their coastal waters. This then influenced Norway to register an objection to the Commission, and Iceland also moved towards a reservation in the IWC to allow commercial whaling in their waters. Though indigenous cultures continue to hunt, the IWC does not see it as a major threat when comparing commercial whaling, and that they have a right to hunt a limited number of whales to continue to meet their cultural needs. I have also included a video to talk about what if whale hunting never happened.
If you Walmart, you know that with everyday low prices, you can spend a little less to get a little more, to make life a little better.
Back in 1846, whaling was one of the most booming industries in the whole world. It was the fifth largest sector in the United States economy, raking in a cool $10 million. But somewhere along the way, the whale supply started to run low, and some people began to realize that the entire thing might be a bad idea. How did the whale hunt accelerate climate change? And why were scientists worried about whale poo shortages? This is What If, and here's what would happen if we never started hunting whales. If the whale hunt never happened, there'd be less carbon in our atmosphere, and our planet would be a lot healthier. If we restored whale populations to pre-hunt levels, we could remove about 160,000 tons of carbon from our atmosphere every year. But how can one species be so important to the entire planet? Looking back, it's clear why whale hunting was such an enticing business opportunity. Whale meat could be used to feed the masses. Their oil could lubricate machinery and light up a room. Their intestines could produce perfume, and their cartilage was perfect for holding together products like corsets and umbrellas. With all the money wrapped up in the industry, you can see why there would be such a backlash when it was essentially banned in 1986. Some politicians even argued that hunting whales was good for humans, because without whales around to eat fish and krill, there'd be more for us. But as we got rid of the whales, the fish and krill started to die too. You see, whales are apex predators, which means that they're the top of their food chain. When you begin to remove the head of a food chain, it creates something called a trophic cascade. Basically, a trickle-down effect that can disrupt an entire ecosystem. Whales don't just eat fish and krill, they also play a big part in allowing those populations to thrive. For one thing, their poop releases essential nutrients like iron and nitrogen into the surface waters, which fertilizes plant plankton, which, in turn, feeds fish and krill. Whenever whales swim from the depths of the ocean back up to the surface, they knock plankton up to the sunny surface waters, allowing it more time to reproduce. The more plankton there are in our waters, the better things are for everyone. Not only do plankton feed lots of marine populations, they also absorb carbon dioxide from our atmosphere taking it down to the bottom of the ocean for thousands of years when they die. But the carbon reduction doesn't stop there. Whales also contribute directly to cleaning up the atmosphere. They store large amounts of carbon and carry it down to the seafloor when they die. Otherwise, this carbon would be released into the environment and contribute to global warming. With all that in mind, it's clear how vital these elegant creatures are to the planet, and how much good they could have been doing if we hadn't been slashing their populations for decades. Nowadays, whale hunting is banned everywhere except for a handful of countries. Experts say that despite these efforts, the populations of most species of whale won't even reach half of their pre-whaling numbers by the year 2100. Maybe one day we'll be able to make up for all we lost with the whale hunt. But that's a topic for another What If.
The next topic I'm going to be talking about is commercial fishing. Overfishing is caused by catching so much fish at once that the population that is left in the ocean to breed is not large enough to replenish the population that was lost. Due to the nets being so large, there are a lot of marine mammals getting caught in these nets even though they are not targeted. A lot of the species that get caught die due to the high-stress situation or die because they are not properly put back into their home. Poor fishing management is what is causing this major threat to our marine mammals. Due to the high intake volume of fish that humans require, we are taking food sources away from the marine mammals that rely on them for nutrients. If we do not come up with sustainable regulations for commercial fishing, humans are not going to be the only ones facing a food crisis. And the last topic I'll be talking about is climate change. Climate change has been a naturally occurring phenomenon since the beginning of Earth's life. We have experienced ice ages and have recovered from them. Without human influence, Earth has been able to change climate slightly without harming the life it holds. Recently, due to human impact, we are accelerating climate change. A primary result is harming our oceans. Climate change can affect the behavior and physiology of our marine mammals. With increased temperature, the sea ice is melting, which is creating habitat loss for polar bears, and is also slightly increasing sea level rise. With the sea level rising, it can take over land, which also creates habitat loss for marine mammals such as seals and walruses. With the sea temperature rising, southern waters are becoming too hot for native species, and they are migrating more and more north. Eventually, there is going to be no room for all these different types of species. Due to the harming of the nutritious population, a lot of marine mammals are going to change their diets even if it gives them less energy. Since humans have existed, they have been a threat to our oceans and marine mammals. We have created issues like commercial hunting and fishing and have accelerated climate change. Even though we have decreased the hunting threat, we have increased commercial fishing and the effects of climate change. Since we started these harmful threats, we must act in diminishing them in order to save our marine mammals. And here are my resources.